going through video footage, still taking some statements from victims and witnesses. We're just now at a point really where we can talk to some victims that are in the hospital and are still being treated. We have 7 that are there. Some are getting ready to be released. There's only one that's in critical condition that'll probably have to stay overnight. I think he required some surgery. So we're still processing a lot of the scene. There's a lot of evidence inside the club. A lot of things have to be done and processed. So that's what the forensics folks are doing, and investigators as well.
And then taking through, if you wouldn't mind, the timeline. I know you said the first, or not the first performance, but the main performance, if you will, started right around 1.
It did. It looks like it started a little after 1. Went on for about 40 minutes. There was an altercation, it looks like in front of the stage. And at that point, somebody pulled the first firearm out, fired a shot, which set off a chain of events of several people shooting inside the club.
And you guys are looking, just to be clear, I know you said it's multiple suspects right now?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Anything, I know it's surrounded mostly the DJ area itself. Can you clarify anything about that group?
Well, it was the actual scene is set right around the stage is where it started, and then kind of spilled over right off the stage and kind of in the back of the club, where I think the last shots were fired.
Any way, and again, whatever you can say on and off the record here, any idea how those guns got in there?
The club, you can see the footage. They had their own security here, and you can see them pat down and search a few people as they come in. We haven't been through all of it yet. It's hours of footage, but it looks like most of the folks that brought a firearm in came in from the back side of the building and were just allowed to come in by staff as part of the performers group or something.
When you were saying Greenville, I mean, we see a shooting obviously every now and again,
sure.
Unfortunately. Not to this magnitude. Can you just speak on that a little bit?
Well, it's, you got everybody in a confined space. You got several people with guns, and when they pull them out and start shooting, I don't even think they knew who they were shooting, to be quite honest. A lot of people, it looks like, that were struck certainly were not involved or engaged in any type of confrontation. They were just patrons of the club, and once the bullets started flying, people started running, and it was it's very unfortunate, very hard thing to watch actually on going through those videos.
Yeah, that's hard to replay that over and over again for you and for your team.
Sure.
I believe the coroner has released information on, I believe, let me see, the ID at this. Yes, we know that it was a woman who passed away. Anything that you can speak to with, I know you were saying just watching certain elements of that. I know you don't want to give too much away here, but anything that you can speak on about, they were here literally listening to music 1 minute and then some of them gone the next.
And then the shooting started. She was absolutely an innocent victim, truly the definition of an innocent bystander. Very, horrific situation for sure. The security guard that passed away was working. Obviously he's supporting his family. Well known in this area, well liked, very non-confrontational, and he was shot right next to the stage, kind of by the front entrance. Again, both folks were. By the time EMS got here, EMS was working with them and transported them, and they had passed away shortly thereafter. But all that being said on video is a very difficult situation.
And you said not related to the Dolce incident, but that it is gang related?
We think so. There were some gang signs kind of flashed from the crowd back to some people that were on stage, and we hadn't confirmed the gold chain issue. I've heard that rumor. I don't know if that's true or not. That somebody had tried to grab the chain off the performer, and then somebody kind of took that fight up or something, but we hadn't found the chain anywhere, and we hadn't seen that on video. If that did occur, we hadn't seen it.
Can you recap, because I know you mentioned this is not just a Greenville County case, this might bleed over, no pun intended, here into other jurisdictions possibly?
It could. We need to talk to some people, some suspects we have that are not in Greenville.
How important is it to make sure that you stay on and hold, I guess, different clubs around the area accountable? Because I know, given the current circumstances with COVID, a lot of these people shouldn't even have been open.
Sure, they shouldn't be, and they need to be held accountable. What's more important is when they do open back up and things do free up and the coronavirus, we hope, is over, safety's paramount, and you're responsible for who you let in your club. You're responsible for the safety of who comes in that club. It just becomes a money-making issue, to be quite honest, and I think they were probably well over what they're allowed from an occupancy standpoint, and it's unacceptable, and it cost 2 people their life, and it cost 8 other people a horrific incident they're going to have to live with that suffered gunshots.
Just reiterate for me one more time, if people are kind of joining us here, there was an update. I know a lot of people thought that initially it was 12 people in total that were shot. Can you clarify? It was 10. The hospital gave us the number 12. Okay.
Apparently there were some more people that went to the emergency room with a similar assault style injury. So they had counted them as 12. By the time our investigators got there and started asking questions and figuring out who was actually at the club, who suffered what injuries, there were 10 total. Out of those 10, 2 have passed away.
I'm sorry, can you just clarify one more time that these establishments cannot be open because of COVID?
That's correct. One of the governor's restrictions on his executive order that was reassigned this past Monday, I think it's 2020-41 or 42, limits what can open and what can't. Nightclubs being one of them, and the second one being a concert, and they have both in this one. So we've called the governor. He was very supportive. He offered every possible bit of assistance he could, and we're looking to take their license in the morning, working with different state agencies that can get that done.
Perfect. Anything that the public can do to help you guys out? I know there's some things that have to be kept close to the vest,
right,
but anything that they can do?
We have some good information. Again, there's no danger to the public. We don't have any reason to believe that anybody out here is in danger of these people being out or riding around or any of that stuff. There's nothing like that to be alarmed about. We certainly think we have them contained and we know who they are. It's just a matter of us putting our hands on them and being able to interview them about what happened.
Anything that you can say about, I guess, who is a suspect or not suspect, who's not a suspect or anything along those lines to clarify for Facebook purposes?
I don't think so. As we kind of go through this, we have a list of suspects and names, but again, there's a lot of footage to go through, even for people who may have provided a firearm to somebody who used it in the club, somebody who may have let somebody have a firearm in the club. There's just a ton of footage, and we were going through it actually when you called, and I stepped out. So there's 18 or 19 cameras inside the building, and all of those have footage of its own in there. So there's different angles, and we're certainly fortunate to have that much intelligence inside the club.
Thanks. Sheriff, anything else that you want to add just about this incident? It's been a hectic year so far.
It's a horrific incident. 10 people were shot. A lot more rounds than that were obviously fired. I would just encourage people to pray for this community, pray for the families that are involved, pray for the families of the people who were here and didn't get injured but just had to experience this. There's one lady that's standing next to the lady who passed away that was shot that has to be horrified for sure, and she's not going to forget that anytime soon. So I think we all need to join together and pray for each other. We're better than this. We are. We're Greenville does not need to be on national news, especially for something like this, where you have an incident where 10 people are shot. This is it's not what anybody wants here by any stretch of the imagination. So keep this community in your prayers. Keep the men and women who keep you safe in your prayers. I think it's time for everybody to truly come together and support each other. Our law enforcement that responded here, we didn't get a call. Deputy was literally driving by here and saw a commotion and had the courage with probably 100 people in the parking lot to pull in and find out what's going on, and that's when he heard gunshots. So they all converged on this and rendered aid, started getting people out of the parking lot to make this safe. While everybody else is sleeping, these men and women are putting their lives on the line to protect what's important, and that's the people in this community. So I would just ask people to keep them in your prayers as well.
Can you clarify, I know you said they spilled out in the parking lot, obviously, with no shots fired off. Did anybody shoot physically outside of the
Yes.
building? Okay, they
yes.
did. Okay, just to clarify.
We found that out on some video footage after going through it. We didn't think so initially, but after watching some parking lot footage, yeah, they did.
Anything else you want to add, Sheriff, that I didn't ask?
I don't think so. We'll keep you updated.